And here we are. There's still time to blow up twice dead. It can happen. And I already have a cat annoying me. Alright. So. Ow. You bit me. That was rude. Anyway. I was gonna say, was supposed to have the meeting with the book designer, cover designer lady yesterday, but she got ill, so we had to postpone to next week. So all that hard work we did Tuesday. Oh man, and everybody's buzzing me as soon as I go. Alright. Then I really need to review Never Stop Blowing Up. Never heard of it. Cats and demanding love at the worst time. Yep. Here she is, just fussing. Cat. You gotta look at the camera. Don't eat the camera. What a bad author. It wasn't my fault, man. Working people so hard. Yeah. That's the truth. Dimension 20. They one of their artists or whatever, was it Gen Con, I remember. I feel like. No, I didn't buy anything of theirs. But I remember their booth. Well, Peter, I don't know. Because it was gonna be more kesshonite stuff, but then yesterday I spent like the entire day going in circles with nuts, so only to make no progress. So I woke up thinking about it this morning. Cat cam, yeah. Well, I guess we could let's see. Where is it? You see a little bit of her. She's looking at the window at the moment. Just out of frame. Boy, she's really locked on, isn't she? There's nuts on Questline. Yeah, did it get it added? That's why I was like, y'all don't do anything other than like pick a number of D12s and roll them. Like, don't be looking at the shells trying to add in all those mechanics or nothing. Potatoes. That's pretty good. I've never heard of that. Crazy if he's changing me with the cat cam. Well, good timing. Also, hello, Ciros. I see you over there on the purple side. So, let's see. Who's in the chat that's played nuts? There's Wisp. There's Peter. Glee's in the chat. Twice Dead hasn't played it. I don't know if Sage has played it. So I feel like I'm like this close to just giving all the shells the boot. Because I think they missed the mark. Ben hasn't played it. And Sage hasn't. So, because I got to realize, you know, some of the shells are nice, but like, I would keep the basic damage dealing ones. Like, there's just 3. Yeah, Peter, I know no shells, but hear me out. Here's the logic. So, OG nuts. We will go way back here. OG nuts. When it was just called a squirrel system. When it was just ass. So, we all know it came out of frustration for D&D. It's like, I just want to be able to GM and have fun. Like, I don't want spells of undoing. Narrative undoing, right? So it was basically just roll a d12, or tell me what you want to do. I'll pick a number between 1 and 12, and then you roll a d12. Also here, and you started with 5 at the time. Here's 5 skill dice you can use to add to the roll. And there was no getting them back. It's like, here's just 5 dice to use throughout this adventure. I will have little checkpoints here and there to refresh you, but those are how you decide you want to be better at something. And we did that. And it was super fun. It was kind of silly and stupid, but it was fun. We all had this is a little testing group, was we had a good little time the few times we did it, and we're like, yeah, that's pretty neat. But like, I knew it needed some kind of structure. So it started off as a little fantasy game, and it was like, pick your fighting style: one-handed, dual wield, two-handed, or sword and shield. And those had pretty much the same perks that you see now with the defensive shell, combo maker, and hard hitter. Like those have remained since the beginning. But as I made those, I was like, well, I need some little skills here and there that you can invest points in. And that's how peanut mode came to be. And it's like, oh, here's these little skills. You can pick a skill, 1 point in it gets you the skill, and another point masters it, gives you a bonus. So that's how that came to be. But they were fantasy based. So it was like scroll reading was a skill. And then I realized it's like, well, it's like I did want a fantasy, but like, what if I want to do something else? Like, can I make this setting agnostic? Like, since this is such a floaty system, can I just strip the flavor of the shell and it be whatever? So that's why scroll reading became item eater. So that's also why all the shells are really just kind of combat focused for the most part. Because your flavor for your character was supposed to be essentially your character sheet. It's like, just say what you want to be, and there you go. Those are the things you have access to now and what you're good at. So anyway, more shells got added, walnut mode, peanut mode, and then acorn mode, which went back to the roots. It was like, hey, just use your character description, no shells, no nothing. So the roll modifier detriments, I feel like, hangs people up. They kind of have to, it kind of goes against the grain a little bit, and that has been like that since I started working on this system. So yesterday I was like, I want to hammer that out and figure out what I can do to schmooze it over. And if I do that, that means one of the shells is going to have to change because one of the shells uses it. So when I was working on that, walnut mode, it's essentially has the same rules as peanut. It's just more limiting and slower. It's meant for campaign growth. If you like need level ups, that's all it is. It's for the people that are like, I want a level up path. That's all it does. But anyway, I got to working on the modifier detriment and looking at the shells, and I was just like, man, I really don't like these shells. Like, and people are getting kind of confused. It's a lot for them to keep up with, which is the opposite of what I wanted. Like, people have to reference their sheet. Like, once they get going, it's fine. But some things didn't feel very cohesive, I think is the word I'm looking for. And dude, I stared at this all day yesterday. I'm trying to remember what I did. So the shells were a bit procedural. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, so I got to looking at them, like, the shape-shifting one, that should just be part of your character's nut. Like, that's just something you can say, I can shapeshift. And it's like, okay, done. There was no need for that to be a shell. Crafter technically could be part of your nut, too. It might throw the GM for a little bit of a loop, but it could definitely be part of that. And technically companion could be too. Like, you could just say, I have a wolf friend. Bada boom, bada bing. And then it just messes with your rolls. You always got to reference your sheet on a new system. I had to do that with the not shells. Well, yeah, I know, the first time, but I was noticing some consistencies with what people were having a hard time grasping, and that's what started this to me to try and hammer out. So you can see my take on rules-light structures like this. It is. Like, if you want a rules-light one that actually is structurally solid, it can be difficult. So anyway, I got to the point, it's like, man, I could really can like 4 of these shells. And then I never was a big fan of the shells that just modified your stats, like the HP, skill dice, or challenge dice, excuse me, and your inventory space. So I was like, okay, well, that's 7 shells out of 12. So it's like, what I'm on the verge of, what I'm teetering over here, is just keeping those 3 basic damage ones. But I'm actually going to change one. It's one I've played with behind the scenes. It would replace Hard Hitter. Combo Maker would become more explosive, and a new one coming in would be called Momentum. So then it's like it sounds. You build up momentum and do more damage. But so basically you just pick your fighting style, how you want to do damage, and then everything else is based off your nuts. But all those shells could be just trinkets. Like the way the disruption shell works, it kind of fiddles with the rules a little bit, but it's still really cool. Like it takes the disruption condition and says, hey, this sticks until you have a 12. So it's like, okay, that's a cursed weapon. There you go. It's some kind of trinket, relic, whatever. So I don't know what that means for peanut and walnut mode, because you're picking shells was part of it. So now you're just like, well, pick a fighting style. So, because there was like I never even made it into a PowerPoint version, but there was an old note somewhere for nuts about how it was before shells. It's like you picked your inspiration or something, and that's what just gave you some kind of random bonuses like shells did. Baby out with the bathwater. Well, so this is where it gets muddy, Wisp. My Mage Rat Hackers rules light, but when I was making it, I had such a hard time not making it. Yeah. So Wisp, I wouldn't throw them out. It's just on the generic side. For the core nuts system would not have the shells. It would essentially just be acorn mode. Or even less. But if I made a module that had a specific setting, that's where shells would come into play. Because like I've mentioned it on a few streams, or a couple times. I had a sci-fi setting I was working on, a module for nuts that added new shells that were specific to that setting instead of being this generic use it wherever you want thing. It's like, nope, this works in this setting where you play as robots. It has specific conditions and features that you use and do. And they even had like some kind of energy system for your battery pack and your robot body. So that's where peanut and walnut mode would be fantastic, because it follows that structure, the 3 tiers and leveling up the skill. So like you could just have core nuts, which is I guess acorn mode or whatever we're talking about, with just all the relics and items you can have. Moss and Stone lost his face. But then modules where you have a specific setting, then it would come into play and work much better, I feel like, and give you more structure. So it just kind of leaves without the modules. It's like, okay, what is it? Just acorn mode? But then it's like each module you make, do you explain and introduce peanut and walnut mode? Or is like, I would like, a way to do that in nuts, the base one. And it's kind of the shells were grouped up in such a way. 3 were just basic, do damage, roll dice, keep highest. The next 3 used the negative roll modifiers. And then the next 3 leaned way more into a narrative concept. And then the last 3 just fiddled with your stats. So it was to show you how you could take the basic blocks of nuts and just make stuff. But that is not the point that came across. You know, people see that in the manual, they're like, nope, this is it. This is law. This is what we do. But see, Wisp, and this is the difference of mindset. When I see something like Tricube or Nuts or EZD6, I don't have any problem seeing progression. Like, I know it can still be done. But if people don't see those level ups, and that clear-cut path of what they can invest points into, they don't visualize how to progress. What Peter can probably tell me the word for it. What's that word for the progression, Peter, where you air quote level up by acquiring things that are important to your narrative as a character or learning new things? Golly, it's a weird word. Die something or whatever. I don't know. Love some level of crunch. Rules like games are a bit harder for me. So many possibilities at times because choice power causes choice paralysis. I crave structure. And that's fine. Like, some people are like that. And the same way with the level up, they like to have that clear-cut path. Yes, that's it. Diegetic progression. Yeah. Yep. I believe that's the word. I'm a bigger fan of that because the level up feels more important. Because, like, and I feel like that's something unique to TTRPGs, right? You can have a level up that's unique to the character you made, versus in video games, you know, I love my level up path in video games and, you know, my skill tree and everything. It's great there, but problem is, if there's no guidance, then there isn't anything there, even if you see it, so long as you provide some guidance about progression, and cool, but otherwise it seems... Well, that's what I was kind of getting at. Was I would just have this big sheet, or multiple sheets, I guess, of trinkets, relics, or whatever, that do all these weird things, and then you can say, hey, this could be an item that you pick up and acquire. This could be just something you learn. This just could be a skill you get. You know, use it as you will, but all those little trinkets would be based off the core rules, like the basic roll modifiers and stuff. So I don't know, but see, like I was saying earlier, the shift shell has no reason to exist. That actually takes away... That one says you can't have this in your nut when you should be able to. But if it was a fantasy setting, it would make more sense to be in that. Like, oh, you are a shapeshifter now. This is an ability you can acquire and invest in. Guidance instead of abilities. Maybe. More like a toolkit. It's like, hey, here you go. Do what you want. So I don't know. Because I was what I was saying about the modules. Peanut and walnut mode with the shells would work good in modules, but just generic like it is. And another thing I thought of is like, well, I could have basic acorn mode with the no shells, which already exists, in nuts. And the nuts comes with like two basic settings. You know, you have your sci-fi one and a fantasy one, and then you plop the shells in there and say, this is how it works. So you have a sheet of trinkets, we'll call them, and then two full-fledged examples. Full-fledged examples being two sets of 12 shells for different settings. Progression would be like that. Yeah, you're poor caveman. I don't know if we can call that progression. That might have been a detriment more than anything to him, but yeah, I get the idea. I don't really see the objective of the change. What do you desire to accomplish by getting rid of shells? Well, I feel like they're tripping people up in a game that's supposed to be simple. Is the thing. And like we already said earlier, I know anytime you pick up a new game, you're going to struggle. And people have been enjoying it, but I also remember how it was in the early days before shells and how people could just jump in and were having way more creative fun because they weren't having to look and say, oh, wait, what can I do with this shell again? No, they just went. They're like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then I'd give them a number. So you guys weren't there for the early days. So there's that. But it isn't getting rid of it entirely. I'm just trying to figure out, I guess, how to draw lines separated. metamorphosis then. There's weird, cool stuff that could help or hurt you along the way, not just for the dungeon, but for the... Yeah. And I believe there is in the back of the PowerPoint, like a list of example items that do weird things to you. So, I mean, if we could... Don't get me wrong, I would love 12 shells and generic no setting nuts that were decent, but like they become redundant very quick, or repetitive. I guess it's the same thing. I mean, Mustache, we played not too long ago and you were struggling to find the difference between crafter and item eater. See, that's the thing I'm talking about. The goal of something like this change is to avoid the paper button aspect that shells created, where on their turn someone just pushed their shell as rather than engaging with their native. Yep. That's it, Peter. Because in the early days, it was just, here's how you do damage. They picked that mode, and they're like, oh, okay, easy enough. So they look at the defensive shell and they're like, okay, I am obviously more defensive with this shell. And then if they pick the hard hitter, they're like, oh, I'm going to smash things. Okay. Evading the piloting the mech kind of experience. Yeah. Well, that was like the name part of it, and that you can't just use stuff is what didn't make sense to me, but that wasn't explained in the rules itself. Terrible written rules. Setting agnostic core rules book. Some things simply have to be... Well, it definitely helps, Cyros, if you can stick them to something. It'll take some fiddling to give the GM and the players the right tools to educate in the process that looser style. Yeah. So, well, Acorn mode works. I know I haven't played it with any of you guys. What's up, Null? It's fine. It works good. And in Acorn mode, you fill out your character thing. This is what I am, what kind of physical thing I am. These are things I carry. This is what I'm good at. And then you get to pick one thing that has a benefit, one thing that has a safety net, one thing that has a kickback. So that just gives you little built-in bonuses. And your shortcomings. Your live stream came up on my homepage. Just want to say what's up. Well, what's up, man? Hope you're having a good day. Modes like Acorn mode are ones that are tougher to test if you has run and created it. The looser the structure, the harder it is for the game to community. Yeah, people do get hung up on that. Well, I've noticed there's certain types of GMs that get hung up on that. And I'll pick on Wisp, because Wisp is very used to more crunchy games, like more structured stuff. So when you give him something loosey-goosey, and Afro Ash in the Discord is the same way. He's like, I don't like that. Him specifically, he's like, I need a stat block for my goblin. And I'm like, okay, I don't. Like, that's why I made it the way I did. And I've seen other GMs that much prefer that. And they're just like, oh yeah, goblin over here. Let's go. I'll pick a number between 1 and 12. So it's not for everyone, and no game is. So just requires some unpacking. See if someone else running your game. Yup. Whip's gonna run some nuts. Of course, I'm gonna change it all up. Man. Well, the music did get quiet, didn't it? Onboarding is also subjective. I'm struggling with is a subject I'm struggling with. I can read. If I even had that pyramid beside you, that would still be enough for me. Oh, the thing we were working on a couple streams ago? Yeah. I like the word pyramid. So I don't know. It was so frustrating because, like I said, I stared at it till midnight last night. It was just like I didn't get anywhere. Can I? I have a PowerPoint question. Let's see if I can do this. Is this a thing you can do? Let's see. Can I just... Oh. Nope, that just made a whole new slide. Okay. I was hoping I could, like, just drag the thing in there. Didn't work that way. Alright, well. You had to turn off my monitor. Yep. That was for players, that would even work for game. Well, that's kind of the idea, Wisp. It's like fill out the nut thing and then there's your character. These are the things you have access to and can do. Now music is a bit much. Well, dadgummit! I did turn it up a little bit, but I didn't know it turned up that much. Playing that Robo game? Or what Robo game? The bells toll! Ding, 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 ding. Concrete 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah. That was a pretty good idea from Parker. Let's see, if I do this... That ain't gonna work. Refinement past some dead world, and while I have some feedback to work off of, actually many changes leaves me staring and asking, but how? Oh yeah. That was a great game. I guess we're working on nuts. I guess that's what we're doing. I don't know where we're gonna go, what we're gonna do, but... Cause see, I got... Well, excuse you. You wanna tell the world about it? No, you're gonna get quiet when you get you on the microphone? Blah, 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 blah. Alright. So... Let me change PowerPoint here. Oh, y'all can't see that. You can see most of it. You meant for the pyramid, if there was a fill each nuts with 3 defining factors, that would solve a lot of wishy-washy. Well, I mean, that's kind of how it is, Wisp. Maybe not what you guys haven't seen the new page, that's right, because I added the S on it for shortcomings. So that's nature, utilities, talents, and shortcomings. And the idea is just bullet points, just a couple in each. Or even just one in shortcomings. So, see, here's the thing. So these are the shells, right? Y'all can mostly see this. So like, defensive, combo maker, and then this guy right here will be changing to momentum. But like, those are good. Those are good. And have been good since the dawn of Nut. Focus has gone through the ringer so many times. Changed and developed, and it's still... Technically, it's not worth it. Like, it is just kind of a lackluster skill, and that's the one that was going to have to change if I changed the detriment feature, which I did. Companions, I am fine with. That works, but I don't know why you need a shell for it, or a skill. We'll call them skills for simplicity's sake. Surge kind of went against the grain of what was already there, but people enjoyed it. Item Eater. This is basically scroll reading. You get access to weird items that go poof after you use them and don't take up inventory space. Shift, this is the one that absolutely does not need to be a shell. That could just be part of your character. So it goes out. Does it mention just a couple? Yeah, it does in the new one. It's like, hey, you don't have to fill this out to an elaborate degree. Just a couple bullet points in each is fine. So. You love Surge? Yeah. Well, so on that note, like, see, that's where I feel like it trips people up. Because if you read the roll modifier page, it's like, here's how disruption works. Whenever you have disruption on a roll, all your odd dice go away. And then you get to the Surge shell, it's like, whenever you do this thing, you have disruption stuck on you until you roll a 12. It's like this whole new mechanic, which is... doesn't go against what was stated earlier, but... or like the big one I had with Focus slash 300 other names it had, is like, that's the one where you can do a point of damage for each die that passes in the roll. Nothing else in the game does that. It's always just pick the highest die. So that's where I felt like things were, you know, you were on this nice smooth path, and then they split off and started doing weird things. And I was never a fan of these last three. I mean, I acknowledge they work. I just... they feel like must-have picks almost. Maybe not the inventory one, but like, it's like, oh man, more health, more skill dice, challenge dice, whatever. I don't know. I know not. This is why I was going around in circles. Noodle, the beloved beast. Disruption, I can definitely see people contribute. Yeah, say when you feel like when it's an ability that you just have access to that changes up the way things were explained to you, and then it gets weird. But if you're like playing and then you get a weird item and it's like, oh yeah, no, it uses this disruption feature, but it sticks it to you because it's a cursed sword or something. It's like, ah, makes sense. And granted, that is how the thing is flavored. It's like, oh, hey, you know, maybe your cybernetic upgrades are malfunctioning, or you're a warlock and made a deal with the devil, you know, and they're coming to collect, kind of thing. But all of these features have been, or shells and the walnut mode have been very forced. As a matter of fact, the 3 tiers... that was forced entirely. Yeah, shells are just skills, Cyros. That's all they are. Abilities. Those 3 tiers, trained, experienced, and mastered, were forced solely to make walnut mode not work, but be better. Because, like your basic damage ones, it was... when it was just, hey, here's the skill, and then here's it mastered when you get to the top level, there wasn't enough reason to invest that many points from levels like 4 and 5. It just felt like there was no return. Or actually 3, 4, and 5, because you would never roll that many dice. Whereas one like Companions, that benefited each level you put into it, because that meant you could have a stronger companion if you're willing to dump the dice into it. Taking your second highest roll would be a good disruption too. I thought about that. Some kind of negative modifier that started chipping away your highest rolled dice. Turns out that is more difficult than the detriment modifier I already had, so which was hard enough. Hard enough. And detriments themselves, and I think I said that's what started the whole journey yesterday. That's, I feel like, what kind of gives people pause every time, because they're like, oh, detriments? I have to have multiple dice in the roll past the value. Okay. Like I said, but nothing else does that. It's just that one little feature, so. Got loud again. Buttons are fun. Complexity does add to cognitive load. The question becomes, is the trade-off worth it? The name is the issue, I think, with detriment, because I think more of like disadvantage or something I didn't know. The name just doesn't seem to fit. Pokemon Snap music! Hold my purse. Yeah, the names. You're not wrong, Mustache. I think detriment's left over. I'm trying to remember the first version of it. I think the first version of detriment was it would just eat a skill die. Like, you didn't get to roll it, it would just eat it. It's like, oh, you have a detriment on this. That means you have to just burn a skill die before you even roll anything to attempt. And that was too confusing for people. It was kind of fiddly. And then there was another version. It's like, oh, and this is what I think what I'm going to go back to, is where a detriment just means you have to pass it additional time, but each time is its own roll. Kesshonite. That's right. Wordsmithing is a headache. Yeah, tell me about it. The worst. If I do this, I'll just like push it to the side. Yeah, a little bit. You'd like that better, editing the skill or challenge die? Or eating, I'm sorry, not editing. Yeah, I mean, but it also... It was churning through dice too fast, because you'd lose some and then don't even get to use them. And then you have to use more to try and pass the roll. So it churned through them way too fast. Reminds me of cuts on Wilds. See, pickle. That's what it's doing anyway. You have to roll the challenge die if you have a detriment. Yeah, but you actually get to roll it. So see, trying to pick open a chest and you had the OG detriments. And if I said, okay, this has one detriment on it, you just lose a die before you even roll. And you're like, okay, well, I don't want to fail the roll and give it another detriment. So it's like, I'm going to roll my regular D12 and then throw another die at it. So now you have burned 2 of your challenge dice and only got to roll 1 of them. So it didn't feel very good. Dice churn is the name of the game, which is why it has to be tuned well. Crack! Ha! So that's why I have the negative modifier drain. If I just want to make people bleed challenge dice, they're forced to roll that many, but they still get to roll them. It's just whether they like it or not, but those odds of success aren't taken away from them. Your internet's acting up. Oh, gosh. Say it ain't so. So. I'm lost in the woods. Detriment could be applied to a particular approach rather than broadly. So if picking the lock is detriment, then maybe cracking the chest open wouldn't. Well, yeah, that's how it works, but... Same, and technically worse to have the more successes on detriment, though, like, okay, you get to roll it, but you have to. Well, which one are you talking about? Yet, if I spend challenge dice to be able to roll and can add. Because if you're talking about current detriment with the multiple die having to pass, yeah, it's still rough and low chance of success, but you're not getting the dice taken away from you. You're actually getting to roll them. And if I go to the route I was thinking of where it's just multiple rolls, you get a free D12 each attempt, your root die, if it's individual rolls. So technically the odds get better for you that route. Meaningful choice. Yeah, decide if it's worth it. That's true. And that's kind of the name of the game too. It's like, do what you want, but the sillier or harder it is, the more resource it's going to cost. So you decide if it's important to you or not, or if it's important enough. So I don't know. Whoop. There we go. I was also thinking about just making a negative modifier that's if you roll a 1, it just eats up all your skill dice. Like, oh no. It's like, how many dice do I actually want to roll on this one? Lunch! I had mine before I started. Because see, it's hard to make a generic utility shell that does not take away from what somebody could just put in their nut. Like shift. Like that's something they should just be able to do. Yes, it does, Cyros. You get a challenge die back whenever you fail a roll. And Acorn mode specifically has a thing where if you lean into your shortcoming, you get what is called take a breather, which lets you recover more challenge dice. Yeah. If keeping disruption, oh yeah, well we're keeping the disruption modifier, not the shell, the modifier, because I really like that. Was easy, just remove odd dice from the roll. I'd almost include an idea like odd nuts roll away. Disruption is hard to remember initially. Every time I've watched it used, the person has to ask for clarification. All 2 times you played. Were they clarifying? I feel like they were clarifying the ones, weren't they? I'm trying to remember. It's like, does the 1 actually not count? I was like, no, it doesn't count because it gets tossed. Change disruption to odds out. Meaning the streams I watched too. Oh, okay. I don't remember that far back. When did I play nuts on stream? Again. I feel like I played it more on streams off of my channel. You could mustache change it to odds out. I was trying to give it a name that, like, it's like, oh, you're disrupted. You're having a hard time concentrating or something. You know, everything's getting messed up. But odds out would be like, oh no, odds out. And detriment could just be called multipass. I mean, drain works. It's just drain. It's draining skill dice. But now that I have presented that to you, do you guys not feel like shift specifically takes away from your character's nut, in the sense that that's just something you should have been able to do? Which is... that's the new page. There you go, Wisp. Be creative, but don't think too hard about it. 1 or 2 bullet points in each block is plenty. Blob, lucky sword, shape-shifting, weak to fire. That's your character right there. Does disruption have a counter mechanic, like taking a separate action to negate it? No, it does not. I found myself picking shells that tied into my nature, which made the nature not feel as relevant. Shift is also really heavy, rules-wise. Yeah. It's a lot of words to explain nothing. This is the thing, I feel like. That's why I feel like it could have just been part of your character nut. It's just like, no, you just do it. You're still going to do the same amount of damage. Like, nature not feeling mechanically relevant because the shells were the meat. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm wondering. It's like, okay, well, if you just have your damage profile, then you have to look back at your nut and then think like, okay, what do I have access to? Because I am a blob. What can I change into? Okay, I'm going to change into a giant hammer. You know, that's going to change the scene other than just I do X damage. I translated in as what you look like, U is what you have, T is what you're good at, S is what you're bad at, shells are what I can do that's special. Just my feel. Shells were supposed to cover, like... how do I word this? They're supposed to give you the mechanical means to do what you want with tangible results. That's why nothing... once upon a time it was like this, and I filtered them all out once I realized it, but like... there's not supposed to be any guesswork in the shell. When you roll something, you get this definite thing back. So that's why, you know, your damage things, it's like, you do this much damage when you roll. The GM doesn't get to play with that. So, or like the combo guy, it's like, you are now able, when you roll, to roll again. Choosing a damage profile also sets the precedence that damage is the main form of activity. Oh, interesting. Place it with a version that just includes the non-redundant information reflection. Yeah, something like that. Well, see, Peter, that's the other thing too, and like somebody, this has been pointed out a couple times. They're like, all your shells are damage based, and I'm like, well, that was before we had these status ones that gave you more health and stuff. And I was like, well, yeah, because everything else is you just do, or you say you want to do, and you know, you set a role. So like, you don't need a shell that says you're good with charisma. Like that's part of your character profile. That's not a shell, because then it would be, what would the shell be? Like, oh, you always succeed, or I don't know. It's just like, would it just say you're better at charisma? That's the kind of thing I removed from shells, because shells were supposed to be more tangible for the players. Game's about fighting things. I mean, it could be, but there is more to do than that. But you could have shells for particular potentially contested social interactions. Well, see, no, you couldn't, because it doesn't work. Like that is part of your character. If you make this character, you fill out your profile, and you're like, I'm a smooth talker. I can get myself out of sticky situations. It's like, okay, so when you get into that situation as the GM, you look at that character and you're like, okay, you can make a role for this only because your character is good at this. Like that's part of your profile. Otherwise, there wouldn't even have been a role. So like that gave you access to the challenge role to begin with. Now, if it were the GM then has to set the value, you know, use modifiers and all that, blah, 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 and you go from there based off the character's design profile. Now, if it was a shell, what would the shell be? Does it just say you are better at social situations? Or does it say, hey, you can always succeed on a 10 or above or something? Like no matter what. Then that starts taking away from the GM. But it also takes away from the character's nut profile. Because they're like, oh, I can't just say I'm a smooth talker. I have to pick, or I could say that, but then I have to pick the shell, or I can say it and it does nothing because a shell exists. And that was the problem I realized yesterday with shift. It's like, oh, can somebody not just say, I can shift or morph, wild shape? Shells definitely increase the interaction with the challenge die. Yeah, because that's what they're for. They're like, when you roll a die, here's the thing that's happened. You could have it so when there is a redundancy between a nut and a shell, it provides a bonus. Yeah. But that's what the shells are already. They are bonuses to a task, right? Because like everybody does 1 damage out of the gate, and then when you pick your damage skills, it's like, oh, you are now doing more damage, and you get these benefits along with it. And the shift one right here, it has those built-in bonuses, so you would have a bonus on a bonus. So if you wanted to play as a mimic, you know, which can shapeshift, obviously, would you have to pick the shift skill? And if you didn't, could you still do it? And then if you did pick it, do you get a bonus on the bonus? It's like, well, I can naturally do this anyway, so what do I get out of this now? Started a higher tier. Started experienced. That might not be a bad idea. For shift specifically, that would work. He's like, oh man, I'm a mimic. I can already shift. It's like, all right, you started experienced then. Free challenge. Well, see, you already get that. Wisp. That's what I was saying. It'd just be a bonus on a bonus. Like, at experienced, you get 2 free dice when you shift. Bloop. So, that, you might be on something there, though, Cyros. Let's scroll through these here. The damage ones, I don't think anything in your profile would apply to that. Like, you just is. Focus is... Well, no, I take that back. I'm a dirty liar. Because you could pick a damage one, and if you're like, well, I'm a military trained guard of the city, you know, I feel like I have some experience, pun intended, in this field of activity that is stabbing people. Therefore, I started experienced with a combat skill. Something to consider. Activating something powerful based on your nut costs you a challenge die. This is a core gameplay rather than a shell. Don't recommend it, but it's what Daggerheart did. Well, we're not doing anything Daggerheart did. Screw that game. When activating something powerful based on your nut costs you a challenge die. That's kind of how the whole game works, though. Whenever you want to do something, you just spin dice on it. I guess I should clarify when I say if shifting was part of your character's nut, it's just something you can do. I mean, it's something you have access to. So if you're in the heat of combat or something, the GM can, yeah, you can change your shape, but you're like, okay, yeah, swords and arrows are flying. Like, I need a challenge roll to see if you can shape shift properly. So, but anyway, going with the other thing. That's a damage one. Well, they say, so for the companion, everybody would just start at experience, because if their profile was like, I have a companion, like, why would you not put that in your profile and get a free level on this? That's a damage one. Well, you could say that's something else, not just damage. So, Cyros, I kind of like the idea, but I don't think it's gonna work. Because then I would have to clarify what shell is what. Like, this is a combat one. This one is a whatever one. And for folks like Wisp, I think that would be very confusing. And it would be more for them to juggle as a GM, determining who to give what bonus. No, Wisp. Nut gives you access to the attempt. That's the way to look at it. And maybe that's what I need to word better in the thing. It's not just, I can do it for free, so like, I'm the rascally rogue who's really good at picking locks. That means you can attempt to pick the lock. Whereas other people might not even have been able to try. They'd be like, well, how do I do this? Ram their dagger in there, you know? But it will also sway the challenge roll in your favor. So, if it was a otherwise simple task that didn't require expertise, if it's just something you've been doing, it's like, okay, this would have been a 9 for anybody else, but for you, you rascally rogue, it's a 6. Or it's a 9 and you get 2 benefits, you know, however the GM wants to do it. So. And that's where, you know, the floatiness comes into play, right? It's very per table situations, which some people struggle with. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, it is not for everyone. Some people like that rigid structure, and they don't like picking a number between 1 and 12 or whatever the case may be. Excuse me. And that's okay. We all have our preferred gameplay style. I beeped. Why am I beeping? Whoop. Too far. Nuts sounds like a character concept, so if your concept has some match to a shell narratively, then it could apply. You wouldn't have to define what the shells are categorically, as long as kind of... Well, yeah, nuts is your character. Like, that is... Where is it? You're nuts! Because I'm an adult. What's your... Nature. It's your nature, utility, talent, shortcoming. So nature is your physical body, and you can also have a few bullet points for your mental nature as well, if you want. Utilities are the things you carry, things that are not part of your physical body. It's your equipment. Talents are things talents you're good at, things you know. And then shortcomings are shortcomings. Enhance lowers the target number for the roll. I feel like I missed something. I did. I think clearly defining enabling versus enhancing in the rules for both GM and player can be helpful there. Enabling, you can only do this if your nature dictates it. Enhance lowers. Yeah. Let's see, how do I have this worded? Nuts are not a way to make you overpowered. Instead, nuts will affect everything you do for better or for worse. This is how you get to make your character unique and allow the GM to not only cater a challenge role specific to your character, but to keep the narrative engaging and fun. Work closely with your GM to make sure everything is all fair and good. Not every GM allows a character to be a katana-wielding Fabio that woos women and farts healing gas, but yours might, depending on the setting. So that was the key thing right there. Cater a challenge role specific to your character. That's doing a lot of heavy lifting right there. So I guess that should be expanded on. I actually just watched a video on the old versions of D&D that spoke about that 10 to 15% chance to pick a lock, but that's a button you use when you've exhausted other options. Boy, I'm reading swell today. Means only the rogue gets the chance to miracle fix their way through a lock, even if it's a slim chance. Anyone can try to solve a lock or find a trap with the right items. Only a rogue gets to roll for it. That's what the name Fabio keeps coming up. That's the first time I've used it, I think. You know Fabio with the long hair? On the front of all the romance novels. Or used to be. Now I guess it's like monsters on front of the romance novels. That's what's going hot right now, isn't it? The hardship I see in the system is just how much the GM has to do with the challenge roll. Adjusting to each character versus here's this thing. If you have nuts, that applies, you decrease target number. If S, it increases target number. Then it's the player knowing their character. Oh, I guess if S for shortcoming, yeah, if shortcoming, yeah. Making that clear and communicating clearly to the GM how hard different numbers represent. Pick 2 to 4. I do have that, Peter. 2 to 4 for something simple. Chat. Oh my gosh, you're scrolling too fast. 2 to 4 for something simple. 5 to 8 for tough stuff. Yeah. So let me get rid of this guy. And let me get rid of him over here. Oh, that was on Twitch. I thought that was on Kick. Where is it? I always double click that thing. I do have this, Peter, as a reference. Simple, skilled, and difficult. I could break it up into 4 categories. So. Perfect. Player-specific target numbers versus global target numbers. Yeah, and that's the idea. Like the not here, but around the internet. Is it meant to be like Casanova name? Like, I believe so. Twice dead. Perfect. Yeah, so, and this is why I have said many a times before, like, Nuts was not supposed to be a fully published product for other people to consume. It was just for me, because I was frustrated with D&D, and I could run this. So this is very much built for my mind. It's like, yeah, I can just, based off your character, I can set the challenge accordingly. And that's how it's supposed to be. It's like the GM's just supposed to be able to tell their story and constantly challenge a player without being too hard or too forgiving or too unforgiving. If someone's nut seems particularly relevant, that task might be simple for them, but difficult for someone without it. Yep. We're getting there. So just go back. You had said player-specific target numbers versus... Yeah, there is no global target number. I mean, granted, you only have 12 numbers, so you're going to be using the same one a lot of times. But, like, when you fight a Gabo, it's not always 6 or whatever. It's, you know, it can bounce. Like, if you're just a squishy little bard who doesn't know how to fight, it might be a 9 or a 10 versus, you know, the soldier on your party goes over there. It's like, oh yeah, 4. Dead Gabo. You are very generous with that baseline. I expect 1 to 6 to be simple. 7 to 9 to be skilled, and 10 to 12 be difficult. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you could break it up into 4. Fine tune a little more. Technically, a 1 is impossible to fail. So you could have that. Like I said, this was just a reference on the page. It's like, hey, if you need something to help you out here. And then I even have this note. If you're not yet comfortable with having your challenge roll jump around so much and narrating different things in combat, you can apply a single number to an enemy and say that is both their attack and defense. Then as players roll lucky and unlucky dice, which Cyros is just 12 and 1, you can raise or lower that number by 2 or 3 on their next action performed. And that's it. That can just be your ground rule. It's like, all right, you got a 12, so next thing's 2 less. You know, whatever. If that's how you want to roll. Definitely a skill set, but how to cultivate that and GM advice for others is definitely... Yes. Well, and that's the thing you got to realize, Wisp, and you guys can make fun of me if I'm wrong here, but like... I don't think you're going to win anybody over trying to do that. If I show this to somebody who prefers crunchy games, they're not going to like it no matter how I word it, and they're not going to understand it. Because their mind is made up. Now, people who enjoy games like TriCube and EasyD6, they're going to pick this up, and they're going to have the desire to try and understand it. Now, they still might come to the conclusion like, it's not for me, but their mind will not be made up in that sense. So I'm not worried on trying to make this work for those types of people. It definitely has its own audience. And this is why I'm broke. Sounds like some of the negative feedback I got based on my game being diceless and deterministic. Some people... Yeah, I know, that's what I was saying. People got their preferred flavors. And that's when you have to determine when you get feedback, okay, is it negative feedback or is it just this person doesn't like this type of game no matter what? Like, so all of that said, now that we have gone in that circle, let's go back to where we started. What do we do with shells? You're thinking from the mindset of a new GM picking this up? Yeah, well, it could definitely be worded a heck of a lot better. on every page. I 100% freely, readily admit that one. Because again, it was for me. And me only. Very important DM. Oh no. That's for both of us, Glee. Don't be eating my pie. Glee's trying to eat my pie in the fridge. I'm supposed to share it. 50-50. Terrible. Let's see. I like to think I'm a slow convert from crunchy dark side. I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with the crunch. The dark side is D&D. Shells are like a second S in nuts, making it nuts. Yeah, like Blaze. Blaze loves crunchy games. That's why his is the way it is. He'll still hop in a Rules Light one every now and then, but if he has a choice between Crunch or Rules Light, he will take Crunch all day long. New GMs tend to have a hard time in Rules Light games because they gotta be storyteller and referee at the same. Yeah. That's the thing, like, I'll admit, like, Nuts is not a complicated game, but it is not for new GMs. Like, it would have to be a specific type of person to be able to pick this up. Elder Goblin! How much do you think has changed since we played when Dan ran it? Barely anything. Jordan, barely anything. Matter of fact, maybe nothing. Now, there's the shell. Well, no, we had disruption then too. I remember y'all using it. So maybe nothing. Jordan spotted! Non-crunchy nuts. I did not stutter. I come from 5e. Hard bounced off Pathfinder. Man, Pathfinder's a weird beast. Dark Side of Crunch is most definitely Fatal RPG. With a 3.33 yard pole. Fatal. That sounds familiar. Let me go look at that real quick. Fatal. Oh, that's not how you spell that at all. From Another Time, Another Land. Well, that's a cool name. It is a tabletop role-playing game infamous for its extreme complexity, offensive content, and reputation as one of the worst RPGs ever made. That is the search result overview. Oh wait, is this the one? I don't know if I can say that on stream. Twice Dead brought it up a long time ago. Is this the game that made people come up with the X cards and everything like that? Don't Google that. Okay, it must be the one I'm thinking of then. Like Blastfinder twice. Yeah, it's a lot. That's the, yeah, that is a nice name for it. I see the other name. Wisp. It is in here. But that's what made me think it was the other one I was thinking of. Very detailed character options. Oh boy. You'd feel sad if that's what... Pathfinder without VTT. Yeah, I'd say I've only played Pathfinder and Foundry, which has a wonderful and impressive module for it, but yeah, never at a table. Bodily orifice circumference charts. Woo! Yeah, Peter, I think I Twice did mention this one a while back about it being a game that was the reason X cards came into existence or whatever. That mind must be studied. Oh, man. So anyway, questionable RPGs aside, that we know we need to define the nut better. Like, hey, this grants you access to roles and blah 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 blah. Matter of fact, can I like find that part of the chat? Let me snag this little bit right here. GURPS! I might be getting it confused with another game, but isn't GURPS the one that has really complicated character creation? But actual gameplay isn't that bad? Oh, they were before that? Okay. Alright. Well, never mind. Character creation, super crunchy gameplay. Oh, it can be super crunchy. Alright, I might be thinking of something else. It's kind of how Blaze's game is, World Shapers. It's like the character creation can get super in depth. You make whatever you want. Then when you go to play it, it's like pretty straightforward. Optional rules and tools. So scales, complexity. Yeah, that's cool when games do that. I think compressing current shells to fighting styles as one base paper button and leave your shells empty for a setting to have more specific would be worth thinking. Well, that's where I was when we started this stream. Wisp. It's just like, dang it, we were so close to having, you know, a handful of generic shells that you could use for any setting. So close. But like I said, I could include a fantasy thing and whatever. My game falls between GURPS and Fate. Mechanically grounded, but high narrative control. Does that apply to Hero System as well? What is Hero System? What are we talking about? You have come around to agreeing. I convinced one of many. Safety tools as a name came from Sorcerer in the part about sexual violence against PCs weird times. Yeah, okay, that's the one I was thinking of. Twice did. I remember that conversation. Hero System mentioned. Oh man. I don't know what that is. Sounds like Phantasy Star. Paper Mario? What? Dang. Generic ttrpg system. It's RPG used for the Champions RPG. I feel like I've heard of it. Mentioned once or twice. That's perfect typo. So mustache, if we like cleaned up the wordage, would that fix the shell problem? Are you running over it? No, you're good twice then. We were making sure. I thought Fatal was that one, so yeah, we were just. Champions is a superhero setting. I think they also had an MMO. What? Yeah, cleaning up the words is the hard part, so. But that still doesn't fix the problem. Like having shift as a shell. Like we talked about, like that takes away from your nut. I mean, the 3 damage ones, the goal was to have 12 shells because D12 system. I can leave the 3 stat ones just to show, like, this is how you can work with peanut and walnut mode. No, Shadow Dark's fine. I need to play it. I want to play it and try it out, just see what all the hubbub is. I just never. Wes is supposed to run me a game of it, but he never does. I hope he's watching this. Shift does feel random as part of your character, but I like the shell gives you limits. Yeah, like, I'll say that's the thing. It doesn't. Shift was one of the shells that leans into a narrative thing. Like, you gotta. That's its focus, which makes sense. That's why it would be in your nuts. Most of the wordage on it is just, hey, here's examples of how you can use this shell, but mechanically it's like challenge roll, go, and then you shift, and it counts as either your attack or whatever. And then when you level it up, you get two benefits to shifting, meaning free dice, and then when you master it, it doesn't consume an action. So like that's technically something you could do with your nut. Nice mix of old and new. That's what I hear. So I could, from my nut, just saying rock skin of invincibility. So what does that give me? That's when the GM just says no. Which there was a line in there. It's like, hey, you can't just put whatever you want in here. Your GM has to approve it. Amazing how 5e had one good idea, advantage and disadvantage. I thought there was a lot of people that hated advantage and disadvantage. I like it. Unless you were being sarcastic. And meaning everybody hates it. I have seen some very strong opinions on it. There isn't any real guidance on what nuts gives you or takes away, whereas shells help spell it. Well, that's kind of the idea. Like, the nut's supposed to be whatever you want it to be, as long as your GM allows it, So they could say, like, yeah, you can have stone skin. It's not going to make you invincible, but, like, it might make you a little harder to hit. You can ask whether shell, if it were nut, it would be allowed by the GM. You don't understand sarcasm. I was born in sarcasm, molded by it, raised by it. My parents are very sarcastic. Much to mine and my brother's detriment. Not me, Glee. Never. Shift, for example, might be denied by GM, but as a nut, it's something that... Oh, yeah, as a nut, it can be taken away. Yep. I think I see what you're trying to say there. As a nut, it could be taken away, but as a shell, yeah, it's... You get it. I mean, you still have to get your GM to agree what you're shifting into. Which might also be why it's a bad shell. I don't know. Nuts! Glenn, nuts! We went the nuts route instead of kesshonite. Okay, so let's pin in that for now. Let's just say all the shells are fine. If we go back and look at the negative roll modifiers. So I have disruption, which I like, and I think everybody else has thought it was pretty cool too. It's easy, just remove odds. Drain. I have barely used that one. I don't know if I've ever used it. But that just uses challenge dice. Forces you to roll more. And then I have detriment. So how do y'all feel about it requiring multiple die to pass in a single roll? I feel like that goes against the grain of everything in nuts. So what if detriment was just you have to pass the roll multiple times? Because see, the good thing, this was why I leaned in towards multiple dice requiring multiple dice and one single roll to pass. It was to prevent players from abusing the free die they get on rolls. So like locked chess. Oh, I'm just going to roll my D12 for free. Oh, I failed. Well, I'm just going to keep rolling it until it doesn't fail. It's like, well, whenever you fail, it adds a detriment. And then another detriment, and then another detriment, and another detriment. To a point, it does become impossible due to you trying to do whatever it was you were doing. Now, I guess you can use the drain, which will consume your dice while increasing your chance of success. But it was a way to punish. And I think... Hang on, I got some notes somewhere. Because disruption you could use too. That does start ramping it up a good bit. Did I write down some? I did not. All right, never mind. Detriment can't use any free die. I'm fixing that by making it very explicit something happens. You never get to make the same mistake twice. I still think detriment just causing you to have to spend a challenge die to even do the roll is good. So like drain. That's what drain is, mustache. Unless you're talking about where it burns a die that you don't even get to use. Yeah, okay, yeah. So you're talking about burning the die before even rolling. Detriment could be a degree of success thing. They can roll it normally. Degrees. They can roll it normally, but the result is narratively worse with complication. While paying the cost allows them to get a normal result. Well, you can combine modifiers, Glenn, if you want to. You can even mix positive and negative together. Yeah, burning. But see, the thing is with the burning, like, I remember people having a little trouble with that because they were having to count fingers. I was like, okay, wait, I have to burn 2 because I screwed it up, and those just go poof. So now I want to add another one to the roll, so that's 3 and blah blah blah. You know, I meant roll detriment. Oh, okay. Just have drain. Later, mage. Yeah, man, these are slides, dude. We talking nuts. So oh man, I can't zoom in anymore now. So disruption on a challenge roll of 6. Oh no, wait, I have a little table right here. I don't know if I did the math right on these, but oh. So this is the kind of difficulty you can do. Which I feel like's pretty decent. If you need to make something pretty hard. This is your jam? Oh, yeah, I guess it is. This is water music. I will say, Mustache, one modifier, and you guys, all of you can tell me if this goes against the nut grain too much or is too complicated. It was, I think my placeholder name was just risk. And if you had, and it was something that could stack like benefits. So if you had 1 risk, if you have a risk of 1, that meant if there was a 1 in the roll, regardless of your other dice, it failed. Risk of 2, if you had a 1 or 2, it failed. Risk 3, if you had 1, 2, or 3, it failed, and you could go all the way up to 6. Because you can add 6 to the roll. So you could get it pretty high, but my only concern there was, 1, I thought it might confuse people, but also it didn't really have much effect until you got 3 or higher. Risked crack! Wow, man, somebody wanted to, I think it was Cyrus was wanting to call something crack earlier. Crack the nut. You haven't read it yet? Well, that's fine, because I'm changing it up again. You do love the doodles. Yeah, man. That's everybody's favorite part. You could just have a negative modifier that's like, if you fail this roll, you lose all your dice. That'd be brutal. Games that rely too heavily on GM adjudication is not always healthy for the GM's mental state. I think it increases the skill floor for the GM to run a game, but it also increases the ceiling. I mean, well, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, it is not for some people. For me, it takes a load off. It's like, oh, I don't have to remember all these written things. It's like, I just make it up. So... different styles, different GMing styles. Like, I would be stressed out trying to run Pathfinder. I'd have a breakdown. And I hated running 5e, but that was also because 5e just sucks. But it was still a lot to keep up with, and all that rule looking up all the time. It's like, no, this actually does this. It's like, ugh. End me. Once again, suggesting that raising the GM skill floor is a positive thing because we are absolutely besieged by no skill games to onboard people. Big Crabsoft gatekeeping over there. No skill games. You're a no skill game. It also makes for, when you have the loosey-goosey thing like this, that puts more on the GM, it does allow for some really neat things, like Crabsoft Words of Power game. Like, you could not crunchify that one, in the sense like, no, these are how all these words work, unless you filled out the entire dictionary. Moss and Stone is a lot easier than this. See, I don't like rule lookups. And that's what I feel like happens a lot with nuts. Everybody has to keep double checking their shells. Have you still not played Nuts, Glenn? Who would have known that an expertly designed foundation would make expansion easier? Woohoo! Knowing the ins and outs of crunchy games is a skill, as is running a heavy narrative game with grace. Just read and watched. Alright, well, dang. Like the stick man makes rules. I guess I'm gonna have to keep the stick figures. They were just placeholders, you know. Something to put there. Can't believe Glenn hasn't played Nuts. Stick figures for life. Killing stickmen is like replacing. Oh gosh. But y'all have seen the art that I got from Peter's wife, right? It's fantastic. Like, hang on. Let me go find it. Like, look at this. Wouldn't you much rather have that there than a stick figure? My game at the moment expects the GM to do a lot of pre-game work to create an adventure, but running the game should be smooth. This is because I'm kind of lazy and haven't populated a full monsters manual. Instead, I just wrote a system for creating monsters and hazards. Or like the P&G squirrels, they have a very unique charm. That's one way to put it. Well. Watched the other day on Interview from... I missed that, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Might not be. Yeah, man. From the pause menu from GoldenEye. Of all things. Off to Bermuda. What? World traveler over here. Okay, well. Shucks. Posting the goals for the June 22nd session of RPGs versus AD. Woo! I guess, yeah, that was a year-long thing, wasn't it? Yeah, 1 year. Be here before you know it, too. Going back to detriment. I think the biggest question is, do you want the roll to be harder or just to use the challenge die? Or just to use challenge die, because more successes is harder while also... Yeah, as I'm saying, it kind of does both. Because drain is very much what it says on the tin. It drains you of your dice. And disruption gives you pretty good control over the difficulty. Oh, you can't. You got chat in the way over there. So on 6, 8, 10, and 12. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you want to make something super hard, just make it 12, right? But 10 with disruption, that becomes... If you roll 1 die, 16, 2 die, 30, 3 die, 42. That's only costing you 2 dice, right? So to get a pretty much a 50% chance, you'd have to burn 3 challenge dice, which is significant. That's half your load, your normal load. Later Wisp. Gave Bashkim a shout out. Oh my gosh. Are you fine if I read this on stream later? What, everything? Or? Oh, are you talking about nuts on your stream? Well, it's probably an old version of what you have. So you might want to wait till you get a newer one. Because then it might be worse. Need to learn semantic version. Nope. Don't need it. It's overkill. You get version bazillion and a half. Oh, you can't see it. That's actually just V12 is what I have up here. Simple +2 to the normal. Well, no, because you just make the challenge thing whatever you want. Like, you could say you're picking the chest, it's 8, you fail, okay, now it's 10. Like, you can do that already, so. How'd you decide on the 7 dice cap? So, that's your root die, which is your free D12 plus 6 challenge dice. I figured since you have 6 dice to your name, 6 should be the limit that you can add. So if you somehow get more, you can't throw any more at the roll than that. So plus 6 is an increment of 3 or half of 12, and it's a D12 system, so you know. It seems nice. Once upon a time, you actually used to start with 5 challenge dice instead of 6. And then I decided to give you 6. Because it just worked out better that way. Farm failures get more dice. That's right. I do kind of like the idea of going back to what Mustache was asking. So you could have your drain roll modifier, which just eats dice. Then you have your disruption one, which raises the difficulty. And then you can have like the opposite of the safety net, as if you fail, you lose a bunch of dice. I guess you could tier that, or just be all your dice. That'd be your gamble roll. It's like, ugh, I really don't want to fail this one. First thing I heard was discussing 6-sided dice, where it's actually, you just get 6 dice, not D6s. This is all D12s. Failure is fuel. Also, we're doing fine, Hadrosaur. Well, chat's doing fine. I'm scratching my head over here, going in circles, but it's fine. It's fine. Fine. Also, my turtle left me again this morning. Was this like the 4th time, Glee, that the turtle has just decided to wander off and go who knows where? I found him way down the road the other day. Yeah. He's been an adventurous little booger this year. I think it's Glee's fault this time, because she dumped some stuff in the pond to treat it. Turtle didn't like it and left. You need to run Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? In Words of Power or the actual TTRPG? Because they do have a tabletop game, right? I feel like they do. It's kind of a big deal, wasn't it? Are we still here? I got a thing that said OBS disconnected. Oh, weird. Alright. Must have just been a tiny little hiccup. Cool. Because it sure went down for a second, but... YouTube, speak to us. Well, it looks like it's still going over there. YouTube skipped a bit. Yeah, there had to be a little hiccup somewhere. We can see my lovely nuts. Yes, yes, yes. It's so lovely. Oh, man. My ball itches. Red team. Yeah, purple team, red team, and green team. Nobody's on the green team. Wasteland over there. Oh, maybe I should just run some more games of nuts and actually pay attention. See ya, Jorbs. That's probably what I should do. Like I said, I haven't really given nuts much attention. Like, I know that sounds weird because I just said that I spent all day yesterday on it, but that's the thing. Like, I'll spend a day on it and then do nothing for months. Because, like, it wasn't like Moss and Stone where it's supposed to be this finished, published thing. It was just, nah, I'm just going to do it, a little fun game to play for myself and a couple friends. And then got out of hand, so. Toy Story 5. Oh, man. Let me know if it's any good. So I think that's what we'll do. Everybody's having to head out anyway and get back to work, so that works out for me. I'll just run some more nuts. Super weird to me how many... Well, this one's a little different. Like, Moss and Stone's definitely got a lot more love than Nuts ever did. So... That's the thing, like, I play a lot of Nuts by myself. Like, it's great for solo. I love that. That's kind of what it was. Like I said, it's just meant for me and a couple friends, so it's doing its job. And then it started growing out of its shell, pun intended. Gotta play and find out. Yeah, that's the thing. So anyway, I am gonna bounce, and then I'm gonna go eat pie, cause Glee's trying to eat my pie, and I gotta get to it before she does. So I'm gonna go do that. And so next week, I have the guy that made Scale Mail. He's gonna run us through a solo session, and we're gonna talk a little bit about it first and how it works, and then I believe he's just gonna do it. And then Thursday, I believe it's Thursday next week, I will have the Blind Bard on for an interview. And her... Well, actually, I was going to say her name is super accurate, but I don't actually know if she can play any instruments, but she is blind. So, we got half of it. And there's some interesting things she knows about, or does, for playing tabletop when you can't see. So, it will be neato, bobito, to listen to. So stay tuned. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye! I said goodbye, but it didn't stop.